Welcome back to the CP1 Memory Palace. This is the place where we take those really intimidating acronyms and turn them into something you can actually remember. Today we're building out three brand new wings: assumptions, product design, and risk management. All right, let's grab our tools and get started.
So let's just ask the big question right up front. How on earth are you supposed to memorize over 60 new concepts for just one exam? It can feel like you're trying to build a skyscraper without a blueprint, right? How do you stop the whole thing from just collapsing inside your head?
Well, this is how we do it. We build a memory palace. See, we don't just stare at lists and hope for the best. We actually construct something. Every single concept gets its own room, its own story, its own purpose. And by the end of this session, you are going to have a rock-solid mental map for 7 more of these critical acronyms.
Okay, here's our game plan. First, we're going to lay a solid foundation with assumptions and data selection. After that, we'll drop the blueprint for designing the actual product. And finally, we'll raise the shield by tackling project risk management, a really solid structure for a solid memory. You know, every single sound actuarial model, every product, every piece of advice, it all starts right here, with solid data and even more solid assumptions. If you get this part right, the structure you build on top of it will stand firm.
Okay, I want you to imagine you're at a super important business lunch. The entire future of the project rests on the assumptions you set right here, right now. So, what's on the menu? It's not steak, it's not salad, it's lunch.
This is the checklist running through your mind. First, what are the rules of the game? That's your legislation. Then, how exactly are we going to use this data? That's the use. What does the client actually need from this? The needs. Okay, do all my assumptions play nicely together? That's consistency. And finally, the big one. How financially significant is this particular assumption? For an actuary, this isn't just some list, it's your defense. It's how you justify every choice you make. So, when you're setting assumptions, just remember to have lunch. You know, using historical data to predict the future, it's a lot like archery. You can't just aim where the target used to be. You have to account for the wind, the distance, gravity, all of it. To really hit the mark, you've got to be the best archer. So let's follow our archer for a second. First, she looks at the balance of the groups in her data. She feels the wind, that's the economic and social conditions. She's watching for the long-term trends. She consciously ignores the sudden gusts of wind. Those are the abnormal and random fluctuations. She knows the rules of the competition might have changed. She accounts for heterogeneity in her arrows, checks for any errors in her sight, and notes any recording differences from her last shots. It's only after all of that that she lets the arrow fly. An actuary can't just copy and paste the past. They have to intelligently adjust it. And to do that, you have to be the best archer. Sometimes the signal you're getting from your data is perfectly clear, but other times it's just filled with noise, with interference. Your job then is to tune it in and filter out all that static. These 6 types of selection are what can really distort your data. Now, what's really cool about this one is the pattern. You've got spurious and class selection on the outside, kind of like the casing of an old radio. And right in the middle, you have this powerful little cluster that's all about timing. Time, adverse, temporary, and initial. Recognizing these is how you clean up the data. It's how you make sure you don't build a beautiful forecast on a totally flawed foundation. So when you see noisy data, just picture that old radio and clear the static. All right, so once you've cleared all that static from your data, you've got a really solid foundation to build on. And what are we building? The product itself. So let's move from the theory to the practice, from the data to the design of the contract. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this next one is a monster. Ample direct factors is basically the skyscraper of acronyms. It covers pretty much everything you could possibly need to think about when you're designing a contract. But don't be intimidated, we're gonna break it down. The absolute best way to tackle a giant list is to chunk it into smaller, manageable pieces. So let's imagine our product is being sold in a retail store. We're going to look at 3 areas. The storefront, that's what the customer sees. Then the product shelf, the actual details of the product itself. And finally, the back office, all the machinery that makes the whole thing work. First up, the storefront. This is all about the first impression. Is this product even marketable? Does it actually meet the interests and needs of our customers? And, how does it stack up against the competition? This is all about positioning and appeal. All right, now we walk over to the product shelf. This is the heart of the contract. Take a breath here, because there's a lot on it. First, the level of benefits. Then, what happens if somebody leaves early? Are there any discretionary add-ons? Next up is the fine print,
the specific terms and conditions. We also have to think about any options or guarantees that are baked in. Are there any cross-subsidies between different groups of customers? And of course, the bottom line, is this thing profitable?
And finally, we head to the back office. Can our administration systems even handle this product? Does it fit within our risk appetite? Do the expenses line up with the charges? Do we have the financing to support it? What are the accounting implications? Is it consistent with our other products? What's the timing of the premiums? And last but not least, does it meet all the regulatory requirements? Storefront, product shelf, back office. That is how you methodically work your way through ample direct factors.
Every single new product has these hidden enemies, little things just trying to eat away at its profitability. And they aren't your competitors, they're your expenses. You have to be prepared for a cost raid. Let's really visualize this raid. Commission is the first wave of soldiers hitting your budget. Overheads are like the hidden spies just siphoning off resources quietly. Sales and advertising are the loud catapults making a big scene. Terminal costs are that final payout when the contract ends. And then you have the ongoing siege, renewal administration, and asset management. And let's not forget who started it all, the initial setup and the contract designers. An actuary has to account for every single one of these to price a product correctly. You've got to defend your profits from the cost raid.
Okay, we've laid the foundation, we've drawn the blueprint. The product now exists. So what's next? We have to protect it. It is time to raise the shield and manage our risk effectively. So, what does a good risk management process have in common with a perfect samosa? Well, it's layered, it's valuable, and it's deeply satisfying. When you manage risk well, the benefits are as delicious as samosas.
I want you to picture this. The big risk committee meeting finally ends, and a tray of hot, fresh samosas appears. Each one is a tangible benefit. The first one provides stability. The next one helps you avoid nasty surprises. This one over here improves your management of capital. This one helps you exploit opportunities for profit. You give one to your stakeholders to build their confidence. And these last two, they help you spot arbitrage and identify synergies. This isn't just theory. This is how you prove that good risk management isn't a cost. It's a massive strategic advantage. Remember, samosas.
Okay, for our final acronym today, we're heading out to the football pitch. To identify the major causes of risk in any project, all you have to remember is this one simple phrase. Preston North End Football Club plays brilliantly. Let's lock this in with a quick story. The club is building a brand new stadium. Political risk, the government suddenly blocks the permit. Natural risk, the pitch floods a week before opening day. Economic risk, interest rates soar, making the loan unbearable. Financial risk, they overestimated ticket sales. Crime, there's fraud or theft on the construction site. Project risk, the whole thing runs way over budget and over time. And finally, business risk. A rival team poaches their star player. The entire risk playbook is right there in PNE-FCPB.
And there you have it, 7 more rooms fully built and furnished in your memory palace. But you have to remember, a palace isn't a museum. These aren't just lists to be memorized. They are tools that you are meant to use. So take these frameworks, apply them, and turn all this knowledge into action. Now go build.